So our speaker will share his experience, strength, and hope for approximately 45 minutes. We ask out of respect for our speaker to please remain seated until he's finished. It is my pleasure to introduce Timmy.
Thank you. All right, I'm not nervous. I'm Tim. I'm an alcoholic. I'm a little loud, so I got to stand back a bit. Grateful to be here. As always, this is an amazing meeting. First I'd like to welcome all the newcomers, and there's quite a few tonight. That's awesome. And welcome all the out-of-towners. So many people stood up and introduced themselves from out of town, and newcomers, it made me think of this portion in the back that I've come to find a couple years ago, but I love. And it was in a story in the back of the book called My Bottle, My Resentments, and Me. And the gentleman who was sharing his experience in that story, he said after many bouts with, going back out, he went to a general service conference. And in this general service conference, whoever it was, the guy from the general service office got up and spoke. And the first thing he said was, tonight we are gathered here not as individuals, but together for the betterment of Alcoholics Anonymous all over the world. And that's how I feel like when I come to meetings, especially when I'm asked to speak. It's such an honor. Mike, thank you for asking me to speak, and thank you for all the speakers you get, Marcus as well, and everybody that does service work here. This meeting's great. But that's the whole idea, that I've eventually come to learn and grow in this program, and I couldn't see it when I first came in these rooms, is that we're in this together. I'm not alone, and I don't need to stay that selfish, self-centered person, I'll just say. I don't, sorry, I already got dry mouth, but that's who I was when I first came in these rooms. I was extremely selfish, and I wanted to come in the rooms, and I wanted to take, and I didn't want to give anything back, and I really didn't believe that I was like any of you out here. I was beaten badly, lost a few things, destroyed parts of my family, did a lot of terrible stuff, but I wasn't done yet, I digress. I'm going to get into my story, but that'll come later on. Big word. But so I just wanted to put that out there, though. I'm just so grateful to be here with all of you, and I thought there was going to be a lot of people here tonight, But thank you, Marcus. All I wanted to laugh. No, but just extremely grateful to be here, and it truly is an honor to be asked to speak at a meeting of Alcoholics Anonymous like this. So, just wanted to put that out there first and foremost. So, I grew up in a good family. My family we do have a long line of alcoholics throughout. That didn't make me an alcoholic, I've just always had that risk-taking, destructive behavior ever since I was a little kid, And, I had my first drinks when I was real little, just messing around. Didn't make me an alcoholic, but, I gradually, came to my teenage years, like a lot of people share. And I also wanted to say this, too. I'm going to try not to stick on my drunk log too long, but I can't make any promises. Because I've heard people say that a million times, then it's like 7:50, and they're like, "Oh, all right." But I'm gonna make an effort to try not to do that. But so, anyways, here we go. So around 13, I turned into a human garbage disposal for anything you gave me, anything you put in front of me. It didn't even need to be peer pressured. It was just that I wanted to be accepted, and I wanted to be liked by everybody. Whatever friend group that was in junior high or, my whole life. And then it just graduated to that level once, alcohol came around and, other substances. And so, it just, it turned into something towards the end of my high school life where it just progressed a little bit to where it got to less about studies and less about growing up and being an adult and more about how long can I keep this party going. And, so then I went into the Navy. And in the Navy, it progressed a little more, if you can believe that or not. We traveled all over the world. I got to travel all over the world. And I'm the guy who gets on the ship when the deployment starts, and because you get attached from all over the United States and you get put on the ships. And so I'm the guy that gets put on the ship that finds a friend, because I know this friend is going to have to watch out for me, because when I get out in a different country, I'm going to be blacked out drunk. So and that's not what normal people do, So even at that stage, when I didn't admit or even believe for a second that I was an alcoholic, it was turning towards that direction without me even knowing it. And I knew it. I knew I drank a lot, but you know what I mean? So that just progressed a little more. Got out of the Navy and went straight back to, drinking and everything else. And, that continued on for many years. The progression of my alcoholism got to the point where I started losing jobs. I always showed up on time for work. I always managed it somewhat, at least I thought I did. I thought I was managing it. I thought I was handling it. I'm only drinking on the weekends, and then I only drink when I come home from work, just, 2 or 3. And then those 2 or 3 turn into 5 or 10, and then I'm waking up with a hangover every day. I can deal with that hangover, but when the weekend comes, that's when I'm really going to hit it, and then it doesn't matter if I have a hangover, and maybe I'll drink in the morning a little bit. Well, eventually, like I said, I started to lose jobs because of it, and my disease progressed to the stage of me showing up completely drunk to work, and my boss is noticing it, and them giving me 1,000 chances to say, you need to get some help, you need to change what you're doing, and in my mind, I still have it under control. I'll just get a new job. I don't need this job anymore, and you don't know what's good for me. And so eventually in 2013, it got to the point where I lost another job, and I almost crashed my car. And my brother, who had been in the program at this time for like 4 or 5 years, I called him, and it was the first time for an inkling that I admitted I had a problem. And I called him right after I almost crashed my car. I drove home. I'm living at my mom's house, by the way, and I'm like 31 years old. So, it's just, it's not the best situation. I know it's not, but I'm still okay. I'm going to figure this out. That's my mindset. That's my alcoholic mindset, And so, at 31 years old, I call my brother and I say, I got a problem, dude. I can't stop drinking. And this was, all day, all night, waking up, throwing up, looking in the mirror, brushing my teeth because I want to be somewhat presentable, because I don't want to shave, I don't want to shower, but I'll still brush my teeth. And then I brush my teeth and then I throw up bile. And then I say, uh-oh, now I got to go to the store and get alcohol. So anyways, if you know that's just kind of how my experience was going. And it was terrible. It was miserable. And so I asked him for help. And then I got into the Salvation Army rehab. And that was a 6-month program because that's what he did. So I figured if I do what he did and I do all this, then I'm going to be good. And I'm going to be, and I'll never drink again, and life's going to be grand. And so I got in there, and I remember the first day I read the beginning of the big book, and I opened up, I don't think I read the forewords or, any of that because it didn't pertain to me. Now I know that it does, but anyways, I read the doctor's opinion. And when I first read the doctor's opinion, this is when I'm in rehab, I still think I might be able to figure this out. I just got to stay sober for a little longer, and I probably am not going to do the full 6 months. So I'm already trying to work around, even though I said, if I do this, then I'll be okay, like my brother was. And so but I read that. I remember sitting in the bed. They had like 4-man bedrooms, and I'm sitting in the bed and I'm reading the small little. It's the red version of the big book, and I read the doctor's opinion, and I'm like, how did they know I do all this stuff? You know, how do they know about that when it started talking about like the allergy and the can't stop drinking and the phenomenon for craving, and I'm just like, this is where I was. That's weird. So anyways, then I got into Bill's story and I related a little to that, and I'm like, okay, this is kind of crazy. So I was like, maybe I should do this. So then I'm doing that, and I'm in that rehab for a month, and then right at the month point, my brother comes. He actually worked for the Salvation Army, but he's working at a different department. So he comes and he shows up, and I'm like, nobody's allowed to see me right now. I was like, what's my brother doing here? And then the chaplain's there. I'm like, oh, damn. I said, what's going on? And so they sit me down in this room and they say, your dad's been diagnosed with cancer. He's got a tumor in his brain, and he's in the hospital right now. And I just talked to my dad like 3 days ago. But, the tumor in his brain caused him to have a migraine, caused him to pass out. Anyways, long story short, I was like, I got to get out of here. I got to take care of my dad. I got to take care of my family. I got to get out of here. I'm good to go. I've been sober for a month. I'm going to do it. Well, my brother, literally, that's my thinking process. It's like, I'm good. I'm going to be sober. So my brother sits me down and talks to me with the house manager and with the chaplain, and he's like, listen, this is the best place you could possibly be right now. Are you going to perform surgery on Dad? Are you going to be there? What are you going to do that the doctors can't do, and that everybody, like, my stepmom and my mom and my brother can't do, So I'm like, okay, maybe you're right. And so I stick around. I do the full 6 months. But while I'm in there, I'm just reservation after reservation. I'm like, okay, so maybe when I get out of here, I can just do some pills. And I just can't drink. I just have to stay away from alcohol. And then maybe I can smoke some weed and I'll be cool. But, when I get to that point, we'll get there. But, it's already building up in the back of my mind. So it's like I'm going through the steps with a sponsor in there, and I'm literally not understanding because I haven't fully surrendered. I haven't done anything. So I'm not understanding what the steps are really saying. I'm not putting in the work. I'm just going with the motions because I have a structure. I'm structured. You get to eat at this certain time, go to church at this certain time, do this at this certain time. So it's then I get out of there and I do I get a job with the Salvation Army, and then I'm working at the Kroc Center. It's like a YMCA on steroids. It's got 3 NBA basketball courts and all this stuff. So I'm working there, and I'm going to their 3-quarter house or halfway house that after rehab you move into that. And so I move in there, and the whole time I'm in there, I'm like, God, I cannot wait to get my own house. I can't wait for the 6 months to be over. I can't wait. And then 6 months is up, and one day after I moved out and I got into my house, I was using. Sorry, I didn't mean to pound on that. It wasn't going to be that loud. But one day, because as soon as I moved into that halfway house, I said, I don't need a sponsor anymore. I don't need to go to that meeting. I don't need to go to that meeting. I'm going to golf a lot. I'm going to hike. They don't call it Squaw Peak anymore, but whatever that mountain is. Payastawa, sorry. Payastawa Peak. But, I'm going to hike, and I'm going to stay in shape. I'm going to get a 6-pack, and I'm going to do everything, and then I'm going to be good. So I got out and I started using, and you're not going to believe it. You're not going to believe it. But everything fell apart pretty quick. And the whole thing of it is that, my dad is still dealing with this cancer. Yeah, it's in remission, and, he's doing okay, but he's gradually stepping down. He's going from being able to walk right after the surgery to having a cane to having a walker. And I think at this time he was in a wheelchair. He could move himself from, whatever to whatever, but to walk around, he had to be in a wheelchair. And so I still, with that going on, I start drinking because I'm so selfish and I don't care about anything, and I'm not going to, it's going to be different this time, It's going to be different, and I'll still manage everything, and I'll still have my job. Well, that went on for a while. Then my dad got really sick again. And, it didn't go on for a while. It went down pretty quick, actually. And my dad got sick again. So then my work, the Salvation Army, they sent out an email because I told them my dad was sick and they knew what was going on because my brother as well. And they donated like 750 sick time hours so I could be there for my dad and still get paid. And, that's God working in my life. Could I see that at the time? No, I was like, free money to be there and take care of my dad? Of course I wanted to be there for my dad, but I thought I was going to have to quit the job and all this. So, it's just one of those things that God puts in my path that I don't really recognize of how important it really is at the time. And maybe I should get into back into AA and, whatever. But no, I'll be there for my dad. So while I'm taking care of my dad, I'm drinking, I'm doing all this stuff. And then about a month and a half before he passed, my dad said to me, he just looked at me and he said, Timmy, he said, you have a lot of potential. And this is like leading up to where, he couldn't talk anymore. But he looked at me and he said, Timmy, you have a lot of potential. And he said, I know you've been drinking and I know you're going to throw it all away. So it's time to just stop. You're going to ruin your life, And even with my dad saying that, I did get sober, and I called my buddy Kenny, who was also in the Salvation Army with me, and I got sober. And then, my dad passed in December 12, 2015, and I'm like, I remembered what my dad said to me, and I'm staying sober, and I'm going to keep doing this program. So I'm working the steps with Kenny, but I'm not really doing it. And then Kenny starts calling me, and he's like, so you didn't call me today. Is everything good? And I'm like, yeah, everything's fine. There's nothing wrong, so why would I call you, When literally there's tons of stuff that's going wrong with me. I have all these cooped up emotions about my dad's gone, and I was the strong one that I thought that was there for everybody, and I'm not going to cry, and I'm not going to do that. Well, my alcoholism took over, and then Father's Day happened after my dad had passed, so June came, and I took some time off work because I'm watching my sister's house, and it was like this, without calling my sponsor, I pushed that aside again, I pushed the meetings aside again, and then without that and without my Creator in my life, it was just me sitting at my sister's house. She's got 2 horses, she's got dogs, she's got cats, she's got all this stuff that I gotta take care of. And this Father's Day commercial comes on, and I'm like, I feel sad. I don't have a dad anymore. And I look up, my sister's got like all this alcohol, that I already knew was there, and I just drank the hell out of it. I tried to drink myself to death, knowing that what my dad had said. But my alcoholism was running in me so strong that there wasn't a single thing or any human being could have said. I had no spirituality in my life. I'm trying to do it all again after I just had done it. So anyways, it leads me to the point where I quit that job, and then I got another job doing construction. And I got paid a bunch of money. It seems like us alcoholics, we always can just go out there and get another job real quick, But it's like, can we keep that job? I sure as hell couldn't in my active alcoholism. So I got that job, and I go to Vail to be a superintendent. I'm a traveling superintendent. I'm working at a ski resort, and I just went ballistic. Everything under the sun, dude. It was a party. It was on. My boss was in AA. He had 26 years of sobriety. And Jack looked at me and he goes, you need help, dude. And we're sending you back to Arizona, and we're sending you straight into a rehab. So I went into like a 30-day rehab because that's going to fix me. And I did that for 45 days because I thought I needed the extra 15. I got out of that rehab. I was working with a sponsor again. I think I got to like step 6, if you even want to call it, getting there. And then I got out of there. And the day I got out of there, I got a dentist appointment. And at that dentist appointment, it was like right away when I went in there, I'm like, Tim, this guy, because I had to get a root canal. I developed an infection in my tooth while I was in that rehab. And then I'm like, Tim, if the guy asks you if you want pain medication, to say no. And I told myself that. Did I tell my sponsor that at the time? Nope. Did I pray about it? Nope. So I went in there and I'm like, okay, he's going to ask you once the root canal's over, so just say no. The dentist comes up and he's like, would you like any pain medication? I was like, yes, please. And it was literally like that. It was literally like that. And my whole thought process just like was like, we're going to figure it out again. And it was like, it was it was not going to be figured out. But that's how my alcoholic brain works, you know. So I went home, I filled those pills, and I didn't even get out of the Walgreens drive-through pharmacy, and I had like 6 in my mouth. They were the 5 milligram ones, but still, you know, it was like that. That's where I was after losing my job, and after going to the Salvation Army, and then after going to this next rehab. And in between there was a bunch of detoxes and everything, and the community bridges. I don't know if you've ever been there, but it's hell on earth. Literally it is. And nothing scares me enough, you know, because it's like when that thought comes into my head when I'm not working this program, nothing is there to protect me. Absolutely nothing. And it's just boom, I'm off and running. So I started, what did I do after that? So I started drinking heavily again, and I got to the point where I went to another detox, and then I went to another detox. Then I started hitting emergency rooms because my blood alcohol content was getting so high, and I was living with my mom again, and she started driving me to hospital. She took me to the Phoenix VA like 4 times to go to detox because she thought I was going to die. And then I said, Mom, that's not going to work. You got to drive me down to the Tucson VA because the Tucson VA is different than the Phoenix VA, and they're going to fix me. And so I went there like 3 times. And my mom's taking me on all these trips where she's like putting a sippy cup full of vodka in the center console because she doesn't want me to die in the car. She doesn't want me to, you know, start having a seizure or a heart attack. And so I'm putting my mom through all this torture along with all my other family and everybody. And so you know, that doesn't work, and then I get to the Tucson VA for that like 3rd time, and they go, we got this place you can go to. It's called the Domiciliary. It's in Prescott, and it's the VA rehab here. And I said, okay, well, I've tried everything else. I might as well try that. So I did that, and I'm in there for 4 months, and I'm working the program. You know, I'm a great patient, if you will. You know, I always do what I'm told. I don't mess around when I'm there. And, you know, I really want to change. But I get to the point where I start to take my own will back, as you can imagine. And so I did the Salvation Army for 4 months. I decided I'm going to nursing school because I took care of my dad, and maybe it's a route I could take for a career change. So I get out of there, and I get an apartment in PV, and I'm going good. I don't have a sponsor. I'm not working the steps. I told them I was going to do all that when I got out of there, but everything was going good. I had the job. I'm going to school. I'm going to be a nurse, and I'm doing good. And the first time I got off work, I had 3 days off work, and I had spring break. It was March of 2018. And I decided I'm going to go down to Lizard's Lounge. I just picked the first bar I saw when I went downtown, but I saw this place called Lizard's Lounge. I was like, that looks like a dive bar I'd walk into. So I walked in there, and I just figured, you know, what the hell, I'll just try drinking again, because this time it's going to be different. After all that I just told you, that's my alcoholic mind. So I'm like, this time it's going to be different. I'll control it this time because I'm going to school, and I'm in a new place. So, you know, and so I got out of there. I got a cab home. If you can imagine, I didn't drive home. I'm like, there's too many cops in Prescott. I don't want to get a DUI. I haven't got one of those yet. Let me get to later on in my story. So anyways, I got out of there, and the next morning I was at the drive-through liquor, the liquor barn in PV, and just the next morning, because I had that hangover, and, you know, with this progression of my alcoholism, it always gets worse. It never gets better. So it literally, when they say that in meetings, and when you hear old timers say that, it's true. Like, there's no spiral anymore for me. It's not like spiraling. It's just like, I'm gone, down to the bottom. And that's where I was. So I'm sitting in my green chair, the recliner at home, and I have a handle. The next day, after I just got one drunk in me. And so it's all falling apart again. And I drink for about 5 days in my apartment, and then it's March 14th. I get in my truck that morning, and I go to the liquor bar. I don't even think it was the morning. I think it was like the afternoon. I had woke up, drank the rest of my alcohol, passed out, and then woke up and went to the liquor barn. Well, I was wasted when I was driving at the liquor barn, and I smash my truck into the side of the liquor barn. And the lady pops her head out the corner, and she's like, are you kidding me? And I'm like, take off and go home. I was like, I'm getting out of here. I was like, I don't want to get pulled over. I don't want to get a DUI. So I go home, and I park my truck, and I sit in my chair upstairs, and I'm just like, okay, you can't go out, you can't go out, you can't go out. The cops are probably looking for you right now. You got called in. But you don't have any alcohol. So I'm going to go down Lakeshore Drive to the QT, not QT, but the Maverick. They're QTs down in Mesa. But I'm going to the Maverick, and little did I know that there's a cop shop right there on Lakeshore. So as I turn onto Lakeshore, a cop swings around because I'd been called in like I thought I was. He swings around, I see him swing around, and I look over my shoulder, and then I look in my rearview mirror, and boom, I hit the curb. And I'm like, oh my God. So then he pulls up behind me, and I just pull right over. I'm like, I'm not going to keep going and act like I didn't do anything. And he comes up and he's like, do you know why I pulled you over? And I was like, no. And he's like, well, first of all, you hit the curb. Second of all, you got called in. And now I can smell, you smell like a bar. And I'm just like, yeah, I've been drinking. So anyways, long story short, that yet came true. And I did get a DUI. I was super respectful to him that I know of. I blacked out through half of it. I think at that time I blew like a .2 or whatever. So, which really, literally wasn't that high for me at the time. It was because I was, in the midst of a sleep. But, when I was in and out of the emergency rooms, I was in the .4s and the .5s, But this was like, I'm still driving and I'm good to drive, but I really wasn't, and I could have killed somebody. And I know that now, and I knew that then, but my alcoholism brain tells me, you're good to go. Let's go do this. Anyways, I went to jail in Camp Verde, got out of there, and then right when I got out of jail, I went back home, and I was like, you might as well just drink yourself to death. You got a DUI, the world's over, I don't have anything else on my record. I've never been in trouble for anything. I get one DUI, and I call my brother, and he's just like, dude, you have one DUI. I have 4. He's like, Dad's got 2, Mom's got 2. He's like, we're all still here, dude, And I'm like, yeah, but I was like, yeah, but you're not me. You don't understand, Literally. That's what he said to me, and that's what he's thinking. He goes, I'm driving up there right now, and he's like, I'll help you out. And so he comes up, and there's nothing that he can do, but he just didn't want me to drink myself to death or kill myself, so he was worried. So anyways, I was like, whatever. And so they came over, and so anyways, they left, and then I tried to drink myself to death, and then I was in and out of the VA emergency room 2 more times in that short period from March 14th until March 23rd. And March 23rd, no, it was March 22nd, and then I got out of detox in that time, the second time, March 24th, and March 24th, 2018 is my sobriety date. And I walked out of that I walked out of that hospital at the VA, and right when you walk out of it, you look across, and there's the domiciliary again. And the doctors, man, I have all the love in the world for doctors. They will do anything for you, and they all looked at me and said the same thing when I was in there with above a .4 or .5. It was just like, you're going to kill yourself. We're surprised you're not dead yet. You should be in a coma, and eventually you're going to come in here, and you're not going to make it out. And so I would still get out of there and go drink and do that whole thing. But this time, this lady said, she gave it to me, easy, straight, yes, quick and simple, and she said, I don't care if you drive home and kill yourself or you walk across the street and go to the Dom. I have put in a consult for you. If you want to go save your life and change your life, walk over there. If you don't, then we just don't want you to keep on going through this cycle, And she said that to me, and I was like, damn, I've never heard a doctor talk to me like that before. But I walked out of there, and I sat down, and I just surrendered. And I just said, there's a better way. There's a better way. And I prayed about it. And I just said, God, give me the strength to do the next right thing, and to just, I was physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually just bankrupt. I had no other options. And so I got up off that, and I walked in the domiciliary, and, leveled my pride, and, I was ashamed, and I was like, I'm pretty sure I was crying. And I just walked in there, and they all accepted me. And so from that day, I can honestly tell you that I wasn't immediately just willing to go to any lengths, dude. because as you've heard my story, I like to think I can figure it out somehow, you know? I like to think some way I'm going to do this. So when I got in there, I said, no, you know exactly where this is going to go now. So get a sponsor and really start working the steps. So Michael, I don't know if he's on Zoom. Hi, everybody on Zoom. I forgot to say hi. Michael, I don't know if he's on Zoom, but God put him in my path to be able to be with all of you tonight. You know, my sponsor, Oscar, he introduced me to Oscar. I never would have met Kelsey, my girlfriend, and little Estelle. You know, I wouldn't have any of this in my life, absolutely nothing. But I just, that little bit of surrender, Gustavo, you wouldn't be in my life. But you know, I wouldn't have any of that, you know, except that one moment I just had to surrender. And then, you know, today I continually surrender. But that one moment I surrendered and then decided, you know, you need to do the next right thing, like I was saying. And so I got Oscar as a sponsor. And that's one of the first things he said to me was, are you willing to go to any lengths to get this? And, you know, it was just because I needed someone like Oscar to bring, you know, to carry me through the steps, you know, one step at a time, breaking them down, understanding them, because I always was like, how fast can we get through these? How quick can I move on to the next step? I need to get a job. I need to get my life back. I need to get a girlfriend. I need to get all this. And he just slowed it down a lot, you know, even though about 7 months, you know, I did get a girlfriend against his advice, but that worked out. She was just a friend, Spons. She was just a friend. But, but it was just at that point I was so broken that, you know, I needed to try something different. And he was the perfect guy for me at the time and still is to this day. And, you know, back to meeting everybody, you know, Greg, you know, you've been an influential part of my sobriety. I'll just say everybody in here, you know, because I'm not going to go out and point out names, and Gustavo's peeking his head up again. But literally, the fellowship in this program, like I was saying at the beginning, we're gathered here together, you know, for the betterment of AA. It's so true. And it's like I just couldn't stick around long enough to experience that. I couldn't stick around because I wanted to work it my way. And until I finally pushed my own way out and got God, my creator into my life, got my higher power into my life, and started taking suggestions from another man, and just that first step right there, that first inkling of humility, just admitting 100% that I am powerless over alcohol and that my life is 100% unmanageable, then I could start to learn and grow in this program. And it's like I never understood that before, probably because I didn't want to, probably because I wasn't done yet, probably because I had some more convincing to be done by King Alcohol and just the disease of alcoholism. Because, you know, like we all say, and I've come to understand and learn in this program, is it's not, you just don't take away the alcohol and then everything's good, you know? It's like, I got all kinds of stuff going on up here, emotions, you know? I mean, my girlfriend might tell you a little bit about that, but you don't need to ask her anything after the meeting. But seriously, it's like every day is not just, I'm just skipping around, I'm in AA, I'm good to go now. No, it's work. I got to put in work, you know? And that whole idea of that's like what we were talking about we do this meeting on Monday nights where we read different books. We just got through the 12 and 12, and now we're going through this thing called the Little Red Book. And in there, we were sharing and we were talking about how step 1 relates to the allergy, you know, and how it's like if I put one drink in my body, you know, I'm off to the races. And I was just talking to Scott about it before the meeting. It's like one drink is too much and 1,000's never enough. You could be a million for all I care, you know, whatever's going to take me to my deathbed. But that first step is what, you know, I can humble myself to keep that allergy at bay. And then the second step goes into, you know, I'm making that decision. I came to believe that a power greater than myself could restore any sanity, and that's the obsession, you know? It's the obsession that's ruling my mind. So it's like once I start thinking about drinking, I can't stop thinking about it. I can't stop. My mind is going and going and going, and then it goes right back to the allergy, and then I pick up, and then off to the races, you know? And then step 3, making that decision to turn my will and my life over to the care of God is, am I talking really fast? Yeah. Thank God. Well, I'm pumped up, dude. All fired up. I just realized how fast I was talking. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have had that espresso before I started. So anyways, and step 3, step 3 is that it's that spiritual malady that I've had. And I don't even understand when I first came in the rooms and people were talking about a spiritual malady. I'm like, is that even a word? Like spiritual malady? That doesn't even sound like a word. But it's like, break it down. It's spiritual malady. It's like something where there's no spirituality in my life and I can't seem to grasp or hold on to that. So making that decision to turn my will and my life over to the care of God is like, boom, I'm ready to move forward. And each one is like a growing and learning step, but none of them have to be done perfect except for step 1, Step 1, I can't pick up a drink. If I pick up a drink, all bets are off, because then all those emotions that I'm working on with the rest of these steps are gone, dude. They're intensified. I think I'm solving the problem. I think it's the solution. I'm like, oh man, if I have one drink, I'd feel so good right now. And then it's like, oh, a bomb went off, and it's like, see you later. It's like, you're not going to figure out anything. Nothing's going to be controlled, as you can tell by the story that I just told. But, so then I get to the point where, I'm working all these other steps with Spons, and I'm really starting to see what this program is all about, and the gifts that come through it, through the examples and the experiences of others. Like, all my boys at Hum Dewey, Thursday night mistake, gotta throw it out. Whoop, whoop. All those guys, these are true friends. Like all my old friends from high school, yes, I love them too, but they don't understand what is going on like you guys do, Like if I shared this in front of like 20 of my high school friends, they'd be like, holy shit, Tim is messed up, dude. But they already know that, but it's like they can't relate to me. Some of them I'm sure could, but they're not in the program. And so it's like, you guys out here, you get me, and the fellowship, it's like through your example, like, Greg and Mike and Oscar and, Gustavo and, everybody in this program, it's like, I see that hope that I came into this room looking for. I came in looking for hope. And which I really, truly, honestly, when I say this, that all the newcomers in here, you find that hope, because me and my sponsee, Nick, were just talking about it, and he mentioned it, and I didn't even say it to him, but he just said, I found that. He was talking, and it's crazy to see sponsees grow, too. Like, to like, and right before your eyes, it's like when I first start working with them, of course, I don't judge anybody, but it's like, I'm an alcoholic. But it's like, I always get a new sponsee, and I'll call Adam, or I'll call Marcus, and I'll be like, they'll be around for like 2 days. But it's just like this thing. I said I'm not perfect. I told you that. So, but anyways, the ones that I have right now, and all the ones that I've carried the message to before, if they stay sober, that's an added bonus. But like my sponsor talks about, and like we talk about a lot with my other sober AA brothers, it's about me staying sober. If I don't carry this message, then I am not going to keep my sobriety. It goes back to the whole point. So should I start wrapping it up? I get to like 55, right? Good to go? Okay. So yeah. So it's just like, if I don't carry this message to, other alcoholics, then I don't get to keep this. So it's like, it's one of those things in my selfish ways that I never even got that chance to experience. And I heard hundreds of people tell me, wait until you feel the taking another guy through the steps and all this and all that. But, I just couldn't get it because I was still in that selfish mentality. But this time, sticking around, and I remember the first guy I sponsored that asked me to sponsor him. It was, remember Chadley? And he asked me, and I think I had like 6, maybe 8 months at the time. And I'm like, should I take him on as a sponsor? And he's like, yeah. He's like, what step are you on? What step is he on? You're ahead of him. Start sponsoring him. And so I did, and God, that was like an amazing experience, even though he knew everything, it's like he reminded me so much of myself. But that's the whole idea, is to see, like, we're carrying our experience to the next alcoholic, and then to see ourselves in them, that experience and how they can relate to us and how we can relate to them, it's like that's what I don't ever want to go back to, and I hope that they never have to go back to either. But it's like that's the beauty of this program, is to see that, work in another alcoholic's life, but also continuing to work in my life, because if I don't work these steps and I don't continue to carry the message, then it all goes away. All right, so I'm just gonna, this program is me standing here before you tonight is nothing short of a miracle. It literally is not. Like, I shouldn't be here. I don't deserve this, but I get to do this because I work this program, and it's like I look back at how many times have I said it's like tonight? 1,000? I start to notice and pick up on things, but that's all right. So it's, I almost said it again. So at the beginning, which things that I don't realize, and how important the history of AA is, and reading those forewords at the beginning of the book, and just understanding where this all came from. And then I see, it goes back to like when my sponsor, my grand sponsor said, when we were all outside my sponsor's house around his like table, and we had like 10 of our sponsees out there, or 10 of his sponsees, and we're all sharing. And then Larry shared, and Larry said, this is all about how you relate and identify with another alcoholic. That is so important. And then I think back to it, and I think about the miracle of Bill, being at that jumping off point where he's like, I got to talk to somebody, and he's figuring it out, and he's calling people, and he's trying to figure it out. And they're like, we got this guy, Bob, you can go talk to. And he goes in there, and then Bob's just like, there's nothing you can say to me. He's like, I've seen every doctor. I've seen I don't know if he's seen every religious person, whatever. He's seen everybody. And then Bill's just like, can I just tell you about my life? And he did, and then boom, it's like, that is, to me, nothing short of a miracle. And I would not be here if that didn't start. And so it's like, to think what it's grown into today is just it's magnificent. It's like, that's why right after everybody stood up at the beginning and I shared about, that part that I read, because that part really, in My Bottle My Resentments in Me, it just so struck a chord to me, because I was at that point in my sobriety where I was really starting to understand and learn and grow. So it was just like, wow, this guy saw this, and I don't know how many years sober he had at that time, but he had years. And when he heard that, he still was like, shortly after that paragraph, he said, like, this is God doing for me what I can't do for myself. And I see that in my life so much today, dude. So it's just like, I said it again, but I'm going to continue, my goal, each and every day is just stick to my routine, because this program has given me, my Creator has given me the opportunity to work this program in my life each and every single day. And it's like the life that I've got today, the two beautiful girls in my life, all the host of friends that I have that truly understand who and what I really am, you can't put a price on it. There's no price you could put on it. So I'm going to continue to trust in God, the path that He's got me on. Clean house, I have to continue to do that. I didn't go through all the steps, but I think you kind of get the point. I wanted to nail the first 3 kind of, but anyways, continue to trust in God, and, maintain that conscious contact, and then reach my hand out and help the next suffering alcoholic. It's like plain, simple, to the point. And to do that, it's just an amazing thing. And I'm so grateful that I got to share with you guys tonight. Thank you.
That was awesome. Let's thank Tim one more time.